Hi, I'm Michael, and I'm a prevention specialist for the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Council for the Concho Valley, where our mission is to save lives and build healthier communities. Today, I'm going to talk to you about functions of the brain and how the brain develops. All right, let's start with taking a look on the outside. So, you probably see the large cerebral hemispheres right from the get-go. Those hemispheres contain the four lobes of the brain: the frontal lobe, the occipital lobe, the temporal lobe, and the parietal lobe. Then, a little bit towards the bottom, we have the cerebellum, and at the base of the brain, we have the brainstem. Now that we've listed off four lobes, let's go ahead and go into a little bit more detail about each one, starting with the occipital lobe, which is the visual processing center of the brain. Next, we have the parietal lobe, which is in charge of sensory information regarding location of parts of the body. It's also in charge of interpreting visual information and languages as well as mathematics. Next, we have the temporal lobe, which is in charge of all the auditory information the brain receives. And then we have one of the most important parts of the brain, which is the frontal lobe, and that's in charge of higher processing thinking, as well as decision making, judgment, and critical thinking, problem solving, things like that. So moving forward, let's go into different parts of the brain, such as the hippocampus, which is in charge of memory, and then we have the cerebellum, which is in charge of balance and coordination, and then we have the hypothalamus, which is in charge of regulating the body temperature, and also sleep cycles, hormones, and homeostasis. Let's go ahead and talk about the teen brain processes. Starting with, let's go ahead and say like the brain is a highway. So, and the highway is always under construction, a lot of lanes are staying open, a lot of lanes are closing down, things are changing. So let's start off with sprouting. So sprouting is where old information highways connect with new highways. This helps with teen brains develop abstract thinking and learn new things. Then we go into pruning, and pruning is where the brain closes down old routes of information highways that aren't being used as much anymore. Basically, you use it or lose it. Then the neural connections that are not used and needed gradually disappear from the brain as it matures. So some of these could be helpful, some of these could be a little bit destructive. Basically, kind of think of it as writing an essay. So when you put down all the information on one piece of paper, you're not going to turn that essay in just like that. You're going to take out certain, extra information and just keep the information that you need to make a good grade on the essay. Then let's get into myelination. Myelination is when the information highways in your brain or the neuron pathways are sped up. So the parts of the brain that didn't get taken away from pruning are being used as efficiently as possible at the current age. So this helps youth build better executive functioning skills such as planning, reasoning, decision making as you get older. Then it also helps youth inhibit their impulses more efficiently and demonstrate greater self-discipline. So the youth may still exhibit impulsive control due to the frontal lobe not being fully developed, but for the most part, a 13, 14-year-old is going to have better decision making and control than, a 5 or 6-year-old. So as I talked about earlier with the development of the teen brain, teens are vulnerable to stress. So that stress is brought by a hormone called cortisol. And the cortisol is a big role in the body, and it's the hormone that it releases whenever the body is stressed. But just because teens are undergoing stress, stress is a good and a bad thing for some teens. It really makes them focus on their goals, it makes them focus on deadlines, but too much stress can be detrimental to teens. So always try to find that happy balance between productive stress and destructive stress. Moving on from teen brain development, let's move on to things that are good for our brains. And these things are going to be called natural highs. And basically what they are neurotransmitters that release a certain chemical in the brain to make you feel good. Some of those chemicals are dopamine, which regulates movement and pleasure. The next one is serotonin, which regulates sleep, mood, and eating. And the last one that we're going to talk about is norepinephrine, which regulates arousal, learning, and mood. All right, so to wrap things up, let's go over some ways that we can keep our minds and our bodies healthy, starting with exercise. So exercise doesn't have to be something that's super vigorous or super intense. There are some low impact exercises that you can do. Something as simple as taking your dog for a walk, punching a punching bag, stretching. All those can help you release endorphins, which help you get a natural high, like we talked about earlier. If that doesn't fit your style and you want to do some things with your friends, that's also an option. You can go play sports, basketball, football, soccer. All those are options that you could do. Anything really to help you stay active and to help the blood in your body circulate. Then moving on to nutrition, as a teenager, you may not be thinking about what you're putting into your body or what your diet consists of, but as you get older, you're going to start realizing that matters a lot quicker than you think. So it's good to start forming those habits now and to do research on certain foods like brain foods, superfoods, There's certain foods that you can eat that help you recover faster, or that you can eat that make you feel better whenever you compete, or to help you stay focused if you have a big test coming up. So always keep those in mind. Last but not least, there's the most important part, is living a drug-free life. There's so much going on in your body already. Your mind's trying to keep up with your body, and your body's trying to keep up with your mind. When you throw drugs into that mix, it could possibly slow down the development, if not permanently stop it. So live a drug-free life. Find positive alternatives. Find friends that want to do those positive alternatives with you. And if you need any suggestions, we have plenty of videos on the ADAC YouTube page, on our social media pages, and never hesitate to reach out to us. Hit us with a like, a message, or a comment, and we'll be sure to get back to you. Thank you. Have a good day.